Billionaire CEO almost married 3 janitors. I bet only one single dad made her stop running. The ballroom shimmered with golden light, the chandeliers dripping crystal like frozen rain. But Amelia Graves stood in the center and felt nothing but emptiness. People whispered her name like a spell, pointing at the billionaire CEO of Graves Tech, the woman who had everything except the one thing that mattered. She had built empires, conquered boardrooms, and appeared on the cover of magazines. But when the music swelled and the couples whirled, she realized again what she had always known deep down. She was running. She had been running her whole life. Her past had trained her to. Growing up in foster care, she had learned that if she stayed too long, people left. If she trusted too much, people betrayed. So she built a fortress of steel and glass, a skyscraper named after her, a billion-dollar company. A reputation so intimidating no one could touch her. The world called her untouchable. But she was not untouchable. She was terrified. It began as a dare she gave herself, a test of fate. If she was ever to let someone into her life, it would be someone who had no stake in her empire, no hunger for her money. She whispered the vow to herself like a prayer. She would only marry someone who worked with their hands, someone who knew the value of sweat and calluses. Someone far removed from the gleaming offices where she reigned. Someone like a janitor. The first time it happened, it was almost by accident. She met Paul in the endless midnight halls of her skyscraper. He polished marble floors and whistled folk songs that made the sterile building feel alive. He told stories of the farm he grew up on, of machinery he fixed with his bare hands, of sunrises over open fields. He laughed easily. And for a while Amelia thought perhaps this was what it meant to be seen by someone who didn't want anything from her. But when she tested the waters, revealing little glimpses of who she really was, she caught the flicker in his eyes, the hunger, the weight of calculation. He was kind, but he wanted the security she could provide more than he wanted her. The moment she felt the walls close in, she ran. The second time, it surprised her even more. The janitor was a woman, Leela, with a smile that glowed like a lantern in the dark. Leela hummed lullabies as she worked, her voice cracked with longing. Amelia learned she had dreams of one day owning a small cafe tilde copyright, of escaping the endless cycle of minimum wage. Amelia thought, for a moment, that she had found a safe place, someone who could see her beyond the money and the power. But when Leela confessed she wanted someone to provide for her, someone to give her security, Amelia's heart tightened. Those words were change disguised as love. She ran again, and then came the third. His name was Daniel, and at first he seemed ordinary. He was older than her, with strong arms from years of labor and eyes that carried exhaustion but also something steady, something unshakable. He worked with quiet focus, pushing his mop as if the whole world could be cleaned if he just kept going. But what caught her wasn't the way he worked. It was the way he stopped when his phone rang. His voice softened immediately, melting into something she had never heard before. "Hey, champ. Yeah, Daddy's almost done. Did you finish your drawing?" "No. Don't wait up. Sleep, buddy. Daddy loves you." When he hung up, he wiped his eyes quickly, as if he was ashamed anyone had seen. But Amelia had. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel like running. Their conversations began in fragments. He didn't know she was the Amelia Graves, billionaire CEO. To him, she was just Amelia, the woman who worked late and happened to linger when he took his break. They drank bitter coffee in paper cups at 2 in the morning and laughed about the absurdity of office politics versus the grind of cleaning them up. He told her about his son, Max, a 7-year-old boy with wild imagination and Lego towers that stretched to the ceiling. Amelia felt something inside her stir, something long buried. One night she asked him if being a single dad was difficult. He smiled, tired but proud. "It's hard, sure, but he's my reason for everything. I'd rather struggle with him than succeed without him." The words echoed in her chest. For her entire life she had equated worth with success, money with safety, power with value. But here was a man with so little in material things, and yet he was richer than her in the one thing she craved most: love. She invited him to dinner, not at some 5-star restaurant with chandeliers and waiters in tuxedos, but at a greasy diner that smelled of pancakes and coffee. He wore his only suit, pressed as best as he could, the fabric slightly outdated but clean. She saw the effort, the courage it must have taken to step into her world, even if he thought it was just a small step. Halfway through the meal, she asked him a question she wasn't sure she wanted the answer to. "Daniel, if you could live differently, if you had the chance to change everything, would you take it?" He didn't even pause. "Not if it meant losing who I am. My boy deserves a dad who works hard, not someone who pretends." Those words broke her. She had been pretending her entire life, pretending she wasn't lonely, pretending she didn't need anyone, pretending that her empire was enough. For the first time, she wanted to stop pretending. But truth has a way of finding its way into light. When Daniel eventually discovered who she really was, when he realized she wasn't just some late-night co-worker but the billionaire CEO who owned the building he cleaned, his face changed. The warmth dimmed, replaced with hurt. "You lied to me?" he whispered. His voice wasn't angry, just wounded. "All this time, you let me think you were like me." Her throat burned as she tried to explain. "I didn't want you to see the money first. I wanted you to see me." His jaw tightened, his eyes breaking. "Then you should have trusted me to see you first. Not the woman who hides, not the fortune, just you." And with that, he walked away. The weeks that followed were unbearable. She attended gala after gala, smiled for cameras, signed deals worth millions, but her skyscraper echoed with silence. Her bed felt colder than ever. The headlines meant nothing. She was alone again, and this time she knew exactly what she had lost. One rainy night, she found herself outside his apartment building. Her designer coat was soaked through, her hair plastered to her face, mascara streaking down her cheeks. She didn't care. When he opened the door, surprise flashing across his features, she could only manage one word: "Please." Behind him, Max peeked out, his curious eyes wide. Amelia dropped her guard completely. "I've been running my whole life," she confessed, her voice shaking, "from pain, from love, from anyone who could break me. But you, a broken bar, you make me want to stop. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real, and I don't want to lose real anymore." Danielle stared at her, torn between the hurt she had caused and the truth in her eyes. Max tugged his sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, is she the brave lady you talked about?" Something shifted in Daniel's gaze. He knelt to his son and kissed his forehead. Then he looked back at Amelia. His voice was gentle but steady. "Brave isn't about running, Amelia. It's about staying, even when it's hard." She held her breath. Then Max slipped his small hand into hers, and for the first time, she felt the warmth of a family she had never known. The wall she had built all her life finally cracked, and instead of running, she stayed. The tabloids would later call it shocking. The untouchable billionaire stepping down from her company, choosing a janitor with a child over billion-dollar contracts and power. But Amelia didn't care what they called it. She hadn't stepped down. She had finally stepped into the life she was meant for. Her mornings were filled with burnt pancakes made by a laughing 7-year-old, her nights with conversations on a worn-out couch beside Daniel, their hands clasped in quiet certainty. She had measured life in millions before, but now she measured it in moments. And those moments were worth more than all the empires she had built. In the end, she almost married 3 janitors, but only one single dad made her stop running. And this time, she would never run again.